I just think if you're going to do anything, you got to do it with everything. And I've always said to people, I mean, here's the reality. If some people say it in different ways, but if you were watching your own television show, would you change the channel?
Welcome to the Spartan Deka series on Spartan Up with Jarog Cogswell, Director of Sport, and Yancy Culp, Director of Programming.
What's up, Spartans? Welcome to the Deka series on the Spartan Up podcast. And today, oh man, today we got a good one. We got the wild man, the businessman, and one of the fittest athletes on the planet, also known as the Sheriff, Hunter McIntyre, with us today. And that's why I just decided to cowboy up with this hat here. And we're here together in Austin, Texas.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Gone Rogue high-protein chips. Visit Amazon or GoneRogueSnacks.com and use the promo code SPARTAN25 to get 25% off.
I've been following you just for the last couple of years, and I'll tell you what, I'm just going, this guy is great at almost everything I've seen him do. Like, what started that?
I got back from Montana. I was a logger in Montana finishing up some rehab, and I had gone from like a boy to a man like that. Like, I'm a big guy. And I walked in the room and I felt big and powerful, but then all of a sudden I showed up to practice and no one wanted to give me the time of day. I got into a D3 school that my parents had helped me get into because of all the trouble I'd been in. And I got there. The athletic director was doing my grandfather a favor, but I'll say his name. Don Tencher did not like me, I don't think. And Coach Jones did not like me. And the rest of the wrestlers did not like me. And I didn't deserve to be liked. Like, you have to earn someone's affection and consideration. But I feel like I came in with a stain on my shirt and they didn't really care about who I was. I was angry. And then all of a sudden I got on a wrestling mat for the first time against these guys. And I'm not saying I was the best by any means. Like, I didn't do the work to be the best, but I knew that I had the talent to be the best. And my roommate, he was All-American the year before, won New England's the year before. And he was Mike Martini, the best of the best. And everybody knew who he was in the section. And everybody knew who he was in the region, the state, the school. And I got on the mat with him at a scrimmage where I was actually allowed to get on the mat because of NCAA rulings. And I started to kind of beat on him. I wasn't necessarily winning, but like, I was like, damn, I'm moving this guy around. I was like, this is the king. This is the guy that everybody talks about. I was like, I'm pushing him down. I'm working him. I'm twisting him. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm done letting people tell me who I am and what I'm made of. Like, I'm just going to outwork all of them. So I immediately went down into the basement that night, and I had like a men's fitness magazine, and I built a circuit in my basement. I was doing lateral hops over a couch cushion. I was doing bicep curls and bench press, and all the roommates came down. They're like, what are you doing? Like, practice is over. They're like, I'm getting in shape. I'm going to beat you guys. And they all laughed at me. And I see all those guys nowadays, and they all got pot bellies, and they got bald heads, and they got soft hands, and I'm made of leather and muscle, and I got titles on my back. And it's just, it was kind of a game of war of attrition, and I just outworked them, outwithstood them. And, those are people that got me where I am today. I'm not saying they're bad people at all, but Mike Martini may never remember this. I sometimes stay in touch with him, but he was kind of the catalyst to get me where I'm at today. It was that moment on that wrestling mat.
So this is what I'm about to say is very real for a lot of people out there. And for some of the listeners and viewers, many people know you as, and I kind of, when I paint the analogy of, Ric Flair, the Randy Macho Man Savage, they know your personality on camera, on social media. And that's all some people know. I remember the day that I got to, we developed a level of friendship. And I got to know, I remember going home, it's like, dude, Hunter's an intellect. He's an academia guy. He likes to read. He's freaking very knowledgeable. I remember the first time we had a real conversation that wasn't like character Hunter or me seeing you that way. And I'll tell you what, my level of respect for you bumped up big time when I started learning about you on that end. And I love telling the story of how you cherish networks and the people in your network more than anybody I've ever known in my life. It's like perfect example. If I don't get a call from you every week or two, I'm like, wait a second, why hasn't Hunter called? Like, you reach out to your people in a way that's genuine, and you massage and coddle and lift up your network. Where did that come from? Is that a family thing? I would love to do a quick dive into that.
I'm one of 4 boys, 2 stepbrothers. My dad's got 4 siblings. My mom's got 4 siblings, so they're each one of 5. We had massive families, and it was always kind of the thing where, there was never a time at the table where there was anybody who was left out, or you didn't it was a weird member of the family you avoided. Like, everybody had their part. Some people are not as funny as others, but we all still had a fun time, if you know what I mean. So we all got together very, very well. And at a young age, I remember there was this one kid named Carlos that was really weird in middle school. Nobody wanted to talk to him. He couldn't even really speak English that well. And he had like a big face and little glasses and a really weird mustache. And if you looked at him, you'd probably be like, I don't want anything to do with that monster. And I made best friends with him. And I ended up becoming president of my class that year. And it never felt like it was weird. Like, I hung out with the emo kids and the punk kids and the bad boys. And I was a jock, but I didn't I wasn't a jock. I played trombone for 9 years. So I was like one of the band geeks, but I wasn't a band geek. You know what I mean? I skateboarded like 5 hours a day, but then I'd be skateboarding and the wrestling coach would open the door. He's like, why aren't you going to practice anymore? I used to be a wrestler. Now I'm skateboarding. Then I go back to wrestling with Coach Shaughnessy. So there was never any lines that I didn't cross. Like, there was never any person that I didn't talk to. There was never any kind of race that I didn't associate myself with. It was just, I'm there, you're there, let's have a good time. And that's kind of, I think, why I got so into partying. I never considered that stuff to be a bad idea, or like that makes you a certain person if you do that certain kind of thing. And I think I just never really saw those kind of social lines that I think a lot of people are kind of bizarrely kind of kept prisoner by. And it's kind of just associated and accelerated my life just to massive bounds. And like, right when I got done with college, I went into modeling. I didn't think modeling was a prissy, sissy thing, but a lot of people, when I started to do it, thought it was. And I never really thought it was weird. And I loved those people for that aspect. And then I came back to my jock friends, and I love my friends of that aspect. So I've always used kind of my network as just kind of giving me energy. And I never felt like I could get energy from one thing all the time. I think that ADHD facet of me doesn't allow me to just hyper focus on anything for too long. So I have to write down these sheets of paper. And I remember, I'm like, well, I should probably talk to Yancy today. I'll write your name down. I write down like 20 names on a piece of paper every single day, and I call all those people. And that excites me and intensifies my day in some way. But I think if I kept myself by myself and didn't reach out to these people, one, I wouldn't be as excited about life. And I feel like I'd be kind of kept prisoner in my own mind, to be honest.
Yeah. I tell you what, Hunter, is the personality we see on social media. It's fun and sometimes loud, and but really, and also really confident. But what I wanted to touch upon is, what is it that makes you compete at such a high level in everything that you do?
I just think if you're going to do anything, you got to do it with everything. And I've always said to people, I mean, here's the reality. If some people say it in different ways, but if you were watching your own television show, would you change the channel? Pretty simple.
Love that.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's like the question, it's like, if your 5-year-old self met you, would you want to spend more than 5 minutes with you? And I live like a titan, because I know that my legacy, my life depends on what I do daily. And I wake up at 5 a.m. and I do more before 8 a.m. than the 8 people I know in my closest circle. I just work, because I know that by the end of the day, there's a reset button and it starts the next day. That's the reality of it. So screw ups are nothing, but not taking the chance to screw up is everything. I know some guys that I compete against, when I go up against them and they lose, they die. Some part of them, it dies inside. And then there's other people I compete against that they hit the reset button the next day. I mean, Ryan Atkins, why is one of my greatest competitors. He take second place 5 times at Spartan Race World Championships. He's still not quit. I've changed sports like 10 times since we both started this thing. It's not because I'm sad of losing. I'm just kind of bored by the idea of doing the same thing over and over again. But he has that willpower to always show up. My intensity behind the decisions that I make is I realize it's like, you know, people say you only can access 10% of your brain. Well, I do everything to reach 11, everything, because I know that 1% more is going to be enough to do some damage. And I think that if you can even reach these capacities, like so many people just they don't do it. They don't want it. It blows my mind. And for me, like, I'm sad to say, I'm going to take advantage of your laziness, and I'm going to enjoy the cream of the crop when it comes to the top type thing. Like, I'm going to enjoy it, and that's what happens. So I hate to be intense, but anybody who's listening to this thing right now, it's like you could be listening to this thing on your way to work, and you're going to probably send a bunch of emails today, and it's probably going to be pretty gosh darn boring. But treat those emails like an opportunity so that all of a sudden you're the person eventually going to be telling people to send emails for you. Mm-hmm. Like, don't ever live on a level playing field. Like, you have to live on a mountain. I want you always to have the idea of increasing your way towards the top.
That's awesome, Hunter. Hey, man, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come back next week for part 2.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Gone Rogue high-protein chips. Visit Amazon or GoneRogueSnacks.com and use the promo code Spartan25 to get 25% off.